well. We'll be talking to the Power Minister very soon as well about the State of the Nation address that has just been delivered by President John Dramani Mahama, and you expect that the discussions in the next few days will all be dominated by exactly what the President talked about this morning. Alright, we'll see the President leave Parliament very soon, and then we'll speak to the Power Minister. We'll be talking to him about the issues the President raised about energy and so very soon. But I have to say thank you again. Yes, you can go. And that's it. These are pictures coming in from the forecourt of Parliament as President Mahama makes his way out of Parliament House, and that State of the Nation address, well, it took a while, it has ended, and of course the minority, the majority, the independent candidates, everyone is talking about it. We've been joined by Dr. Kwabena Donkor. He's a Power Minister. You're the best person to talk to about power. The President says he will fix the problem. He will not manage it as has been done in the past. He will not manage us out of the problem, but he will fix the problem. And some say that is another promise. Well, you are in charge of the Power Ministry, and I'm sure you've been talking a lot to the President. Tell us, when the President says he will fix it, what exactly does he mean?
Well, the President is talking about resolving the issues once and for all, as we say in the local parlance. Remember, we've had power outages in the 80s, in the 90s, in 2000s, and we're getting it again. So it's becoming repetitive. And His Excellency the President has promised that, look, we will fix it once and for all. That in our generation and going forward, we wouldn't have this power outages again. That is what he means.
The question the opposition is asking, where will you get the money to fix the problem? Because they seem to think that we are broke.
Well, we know where we'll get the money.
But Ghanaians would like to know where you get the money.
Do Ghanaians want to know where we'll get the money, or Ghanaians want a solution?
They want a solution, and the solution is delaying, isn't it?
The solution has not delayed. I have promised this country that by the end of this year there will be no load shedding. Indeed, His Excellency the President stated in his sessional address that he will hold me to it. I'm sure this is the first time in the politics of this country that in a sessional address, His Excellency the President has said, any president for that matter has said he will hold a minister to a promise publicly. We know what we are doing as a government, and the team that I lead is determined, we are focused, and we will get the problems resolved. We know that there's going to be a lot of detraction along the way. We're going to be vilified, there are going to be personal attacks, all with the intention of discouraging us. But we refuse to be discouraged. We will deliver as a team. Team Mahama will deliver, I can assure you. And by January 2016, come back and interview me.
January 2016, that's
yes.
A deal.
Yes, it's a deal.
So you believe that? January 20, you, of course, you're in the same team. So you definitely believe that?
Not just because we're in the same team. He laid some solid foundation, and I'm building on it.
You're working. So you think that the foundation you laid is enough for Dr. Donkor to continue, and by December 2015, as he said over and over again.
If you listen to the President and how he laid out the short-term approach and the long-term approach, how he addressed the issues of gas, the reform plans he has in terms of focusing on the thermal and the hydro, the distribution reforms. The President is talking about addressing our energy challenges comprehensively, and that's what we're doing. And I think if you put it all together, we are very convinced that this problem will be faced. And I think that I'm very happy that the President is leading this team and he's providing the leadership required to fix it.
Okay, another thing that has been missing in the discussion, of course, we've had members of your government try to bring it up, that we've expanded the grid, and more communities have been added to the national grid, and so demand has outstripped supply. Of course, that's the situation on the ground. And people would say that, okay, so you've extended electricity to all these places. How about the small number of communities that do not have electricity? So even when we talk about Dumso, they don't even know anything about it. How about them? Because they are the people nobody even talks about.
You see, the government's policy is that by 2020 we should have universal access. Let's define universal access. Universal access means 90% or more by 2020. But this government is even determined to attain universal access earlier than the 2020. You see, we are in terms of the sub-Saharan Africa, we have the second highest penetration. And we are working on achieving universal access in the shortest possible time. For those currently without connection to the grid, there are other interventions, solar lanterns, solar lamps, etc. Those interventions are being ruled out. The president mentioned another one, specific one, prepaid solar metering. We're going to provide rural communities, remote rural communities, with a new package that will be based on prepaid solar lighting, and that will be the first in this country. You see, we are not just expanding existing programs, but we are introducing innovations.
It's very, very important. And you know, we laid a foundation with the Renewable Energy Act that, quite frankly, is not even in a lot of countries in Africa. We are discriminating for companies that are adding renewable sources by the feed-in tariffs. If you look at what we are doing, we have projected a policy that says that by 2010, 10% of our energy source should be renewable. We are focusing to make sure off-grid communities have access, as the Honorable Minister has said. And so there's a real plan in place, and I believe that with the teamwork we have, we believe everything the President has said. But what is important for me is that if you had listened to the President in talking about education, in talking about health, in talking about agriculture, in talking about road infrastructure, you leave confident that you still have a very hopeful future for Ghana, despite the short-term challenges, which we are confident will be fixed.
Okay, another thing the President said that was quite profound was that he wants to make hydro supplementary.
Yes. Listen, if you look at our natural resource endowment, we have virtually exhausted all the major hydro potential as a country. And therefore, hydro is no longer, our ability to expand hydro is limited by a resource constraint. Yes, we'll be doing mini dams, yes, we'll be doing small dams, but those will not give us the huge megawatts we need for industrial development. This country sits on 2 billion tons of iron ore, for example. So if we are to develop an iron and steel industry, you're going to need huge quantum of power. You cannot get that from hydro. And therefore, as we increase our generation base based on other sources, based on gas, domestic gas, based on coal, eventually hydro will become the smaller player, and that is why he says it will be supplementary.
Okay, you want to highlight that?
If you are increasing, your demand is increasing by over 10% every year, and we already know that the hydro sources you have cumulatively will not be more than 700 megawatts. You obviously know that where you have to go is thermal and other sources, and that's why the President focused on those areas and talked about distribution reforms, because in this thermal era, private companies will have to invest. They have to find it attractive to come. And so we need to really reform the ECG and the distribution sector. And so he tied it all in. And I think that if you listen to the President, it was very comprehensive. It's a President who has a plan to fix the energy sector, and we are very confident it will be fixed.
And listening to the two of you, you seem to be singing the same accord, the same chorus. And there are rumors making rounds in town that there's a feud between the two of you. I'm sure you've heard it, have you?
You know, it is funny actually. You know, there was a morning when I was reading a newspaper. He was sitting in front of me, And I said, well, we are supposed to be knocking here. Why are you in my office? I think what is really important is that we are very focused. We know what the president's agenda is. We know the urgency of the issues we have to deal with. I have to complement his effort by making sure there's increased gas supply. And this project must come on stream on time. The 10 must come, the ENI project, the Sankofa must come right on time to provide 300 million cubic feet of gas to support the power sector. And those are the focus.
So there's no problem between the two of you at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, he drew my attention to a public. I had not even seen it. He drew my attention. We had such a good laugh.
Okay.
You see, in any organization, occasionally you may have differences of opinion on how to achieve a goal. But for the two of us, we will always dialogue, we will always reach a compromise because our mission is the same. And we've been personal friends for so long.
Yeah, I'm told you go way back.
Yes.
Yeah. Before I let you go, do you still see the NPP demonstration as a keep fit exercise?
Oh, I said on the lighter vein.
They took it quite seriously.
I said on the lighter vein. And I also said that we were concentrating on providing the solutions. Of course, things have been said in the political arena about our demonstrations in the past. We didn't cry murder. I mean, the Ghanaian politics must have a place for humor. Other than that, we're just going into a coalition.
So you are unapologetic about it, about your statement?
I've never been asked to apologize, unless you are asking me to apologize.
I'm not asking you to apologize.
Well, let's talk about the president. But I cannot leave without talking about the two things the president talked about before he concluded. He said we should rise up over cynicism and partisanship. If you listen to the layout of the whole future that the president made us all know, everybody listening to the president and the investments in all these sectors, you live hopeful. Yes, we have short-term challenges, but the country's future promise is true. And that's all we should all focus on.
Thank you very much.